Aloha artist, Miss Maggie here. Today, I want to show you a work of art that I made. It is called Polar Bear in a Snowstorm. Wait, no, of course not. This is just part of our art supplies today. But we are going to create some artwork about polar bears. So, what are the supplies that we are going to need today? You will need a large drawing paper and also a large piece of construction paper. You can choose what color you would like to use. And we will need a pencil, eraser, scissors, and some glue. So go get those supplies: large drawing paper, construction paper, pencil, eraser, scissors, and glue, and meet me right back here. Since we're going to be drawing polar bears today, and we don't have polar bears in Hawaii, let's journey far to northern Canada in the Arctic Circle and see what sort of art is created by the native people of that area. These works of art I'm going to share with you are all by different Inuit of Baffin Island, and they have polar bears in their artwork because they know that animal very well. Now, if we're going to read these works of art, there's certain things that we can look for, just like any artwork. What are those things again? You know. Facial expression, focal point, gesture, clothing, setting, objects, quantity, size, and color. Now, not every artwork has all of those, but as you look at these, see which of those you can find. Let's look at this first work of art. This one's called Polar Bear and Cub in Ice, and it was made by printmaking. So, what do you notice about the facial expression of the bears? And their focal point. You can tell a little bit where they're looking, can't you? How about the gesture? What are they doing with their body? It did give us some information for that. Clothing doesn't really work that well, does it, for this one? Sometimes you might be able to tell some things about an animal's fur, but there's no clothing here. How about the setting? This artwork only has very simple lines and shapes, but I feel like it is telling us something about the setting. What do you notice about the setting? And I don't see any other objects. Is there anything else that you see that you think might be important? So, what do you think is happening in this work of art? What do you think is going on? What is it about? Let's look at a couple other works of art by other Inuit artists. What do you notice about these? Is there something different about the focal point or the gesture? How are they similar? And how are they different? When I look at these different artworks, they give me different emotions. They all seem to express the polar bear in a different way, don't they? What I'm curious about is how these artworks make you feel. So, I would like you to pick out a detail in one of these and finish this sentence. When I see blank, I feel blank. For instance, when I see the teeth in the polar bear carving, I feel nervous. I'm curious about what you see and what you feel. I would love for you to post on Padlet a comment that tells us. You'll see a picture of these artworks there. Please share that with us. So while we looked at these artworks, did you notice how in that first artwork they used the color around the polar bears to show us where this white bear was on the white paper? That is called using negative space. That is what we're going to do today. if you see here, all of this space around here is negative space. Usually, a work of art is about the positive space. Mostly, we're drawing all the details inside the person, inside the house, inside the animal, putting all those details in. But today, we are going to be working on keeping this outside part, the negative space, because then we'll have a white polar bear. And watch this. See that little bit of detail right there? I put this on there, and I've got my polar bear. Of course, I wouldn't on my real artwork have those words there, and I might add other details too. But this is how we're going to do it. You're going to take your construction paper of any color. We're going to draw that bear on here. We're going to cut it out, but we're going to keep the outside part, the negative space, not the positive space. And we will glue it onto a piece of white paper so you can see the bear right through. So, first thing we need to do is draw our polar bear. I'm going to use this picture of a polar bear right here. You could use a different photo of a polar bear if you wanted to, but this is the one that I'm going to use. Anytime you're going to draw an animal, we can look for the lines and shapes that make it up. And so, I'm going to look at this bear, and the first thing I notice is that it has a very large body, and that large body is kind of like an oval. And so I'm going to draw a large oval on my paper, and I'm going to make it, I think, right about here. See how I'm not drawing yet? I'm just thinking, well, what size do I want it to be? I think about here. Now I'm going to draw kind of dark because I want you to see my lines, but you can draw lightly so that it's easy to darken your lines later. So I've got my oval there. Now, how about the head? From this angle, the head looks like an upside down triangle. It's not exactly that, but that's a good shape to start with. But where is that triangle? Well, it's a little bit farther over from the head, and it's about half as tall as the oval. So the oval's this big, half of that is over here. And I see that the top of the head, it's even with the top of the back. So it's going to be about here. See how I was like, okay, that's even there. And then I'm going to draw that rounded upside down triangle. There we go. I've got those parts in there. How do they connect? Well, do you notice that bump on the back? That seems like an important part to tell us about the polar bear. And so that starts at the oval. It goes up a little bit, and then it goes back down, and it gets to that upside down triangle. How about down here? From the middle of the oval, there's a curve that comes up, and it's not coming maybe straight to the chin, but close to the chin. So now I've got the neck. The polar bear has a big, powerful neck. These are such amazingly strong animals. How about those legs? Those are incredibly powerful too. Let's look at the back legs. Animals that are hunters a lot of times have really strong and large muscles. You see this leg? It doesn't just start right here. It starts here. See that line that comes up? That is all part of the leg. All of that is the leg. So I'm drawing another oval that takes up all of that, and it comes down into this leg. Okay, how far down do I want it to go? It's about half the length of the oval. See how I sort of see, well, how big is one thing compared to other things? It helps me see that. And I can see that the top of the leg is wider compared to the bottom of the leg. And I can see, okay, that line goes straight down, and that line goes at an angle that way. And I can see a little bit of the foot there in the snow. So I'll put that there. How about the back leg behind? I see that that starts up here and it comes out about there too. And I see that it's wide and then it gets narrower. This part from up here, it's almost straight down, but a little bit of a diagonal. So it's going down there, and this line is going towards it. And it ends at about the same spot. And I don't see a paw there. Maybe it's just in the snow, or maybe I add a tiny bit of a paw. There we go for that part. How about the front paws? I really like how this paw is off the ground. Makes me feel like this polar bear is on its way somewhere. So the shoulders of this animal are very strong too. I see that they start here at the front part of the body, and I see this shape like that coming back. So this big strong top of the arm, and then the elbow is right about at the bottom of the body, the belly there. And I see this part, it goes down. And then it kind of becomes just a little paw that's not quite touching the ground. And yours might be a little bit different. And if I'm going too quickly, you can always stop, go back, watch it again, pause it, get a part before you move on. It's all up to you. You are in control of that with these videos, right? Now, I have one more paw though, right? I see that paw. It comes down from the neck area. And it sort of connects right here. And it's in about the same line as the other feet. And I see that that line, it's not perfectly straight. It goes down, in, out. Just like that. There we go. So I have my polar bear shape for the most part. Couple other details, like I see it has a tail there, and you know what, if I put the tail there, no one's going to see it because I'm going to be cutting this out. I want it to exist though, so I'm going to put it there. How about those ears? Got ear there, and we're going to be cutting this out, but let's practice drawing the face anyways. Remember, this face is just practice, probably no one's going to see it, but the face, I find the first thing that's really helpful is to draw a little guideline. I'm going to draw a line down the center, and I'm going to draw a line through the middle going this way. This helps me with any sort of face that's looking straight forward. And this polar bear, ooh, he's looking straight at the camera person. I wonder if this polar bear is hungry for camera person. But he might just be saying hi too. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to draw a U. This U is going to start above the middle, and it's going to be symmetrical on both sides. It's going to go down almost to the bottom, and then back up. And you see how this U, it's a little interesting. I made it wider, skinnier, wider. You can add that if you want. And on either side of that U, kind of widely spaced, are the little eyes. Now, that doesn't look like a polar bear nose, but it's just the snout. If I put a big upside down triangle right there, oh my goodness, now it looks like a bear. I can color that part in, and I can give it a mouth. And I can decide if, like the picture, its facial expression is kind of like "arr," or if he's just smiling. You can decide what sort of facial expression your bear is going to have. How do you want people to feel when they look at your artwork? And of course, remember, this one, it's just practice. But it's good practice because we will be adding that detail in at the end. Okay, one more time before we cut. Look at all the edges of your polar bear. You want to see, are they all as specific as you want them to be? For instance, I want to see this line here. I've got the back of the polar bear. I know it goes down, but I want to pay attention to how it connects to the lump on the neck, the bump, and then to the head. Do I have it right where I want it? So make those lines specific and also clear, because if you have too many sketchy lines, do you know which one you're going to cut from? You might want to add some lines that have some fur on them, but no, you're going to be cutting this, so fur could get challenging to cut. It's up to you. But one thing to know is that the details that are on the inside, those are going to disappear. I'll go like that. See how I'm making my lines really clear now? I'm not going to worry about erasing it all, but I am making sure that I have the lines that I want. Erase there so I know which lines I'm keeping. There we go. I think that's what I'm going to do. So now, remember, we are not going to keep the inside. We are going to keep the outside part. Okay? So, how do we do that? Well, what you do is you take your scissors and you take your artwork and you're going to pinch it right in the middle. And you're going to make a slit. And then from there, I can cut out my bear. Now, if you think that you are a pro at cutting and you want to challenge and you want to try to have the positive and the negative, instead of making the slit right in the middle, don't do it there. Do it on a leg, somewhere where it might be furry anyways. You make your pinch there and little snip. And then, see how that snip is right on my pencil line? I stick my scissors in there and I'm going to cut on my pencil line. I'm going to cut on my pencil line the whole way around, and I can have the positive and the negative. But what I'm really wanting us to have is the outside, the negative. So if you're like, oh, just give it to me a little bit easier, Miss Maggie, then just start in the middle, but then cut to the outside part. Oh, not all the way to the outside. Cut to your outside pencil line and then go around carefully. And if you need to cut out a piece of the inside of your bear, see, I'm getting rid of my positive bear. I'm just going to have a bear-shaped hole. That's what we want, a bear-shaped hole. And if I can cut out that piece there, make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to even cut out a little bit more like that. Careful to stay in the area you want to go. So I'm working on that bear-shaped hole. Catch those details. You are basically drawing with scissors right now. So every cut you do, have it be controlled. Pay attention to it. Cutting with scissors is sort of like coloring with Sharpie. You can't erase, right? You can be a creative problem solver and decide what to do with what happened, but we want to do our best to be focused and careful and see how I'm going around those. Sometimes I just move the paper. There we go. I've got that part there. Sometimes I have little spots I want to clean up. I can go over just the edge with my scissors and get those little bits. There we go. Now for the legs, I'm starting to have that bear-shaped hole. Let's see. Okay, I've got that part there. I'm going to cut off a little bit of that. Now for doing some of that edge, some of that fur. And whenever I have a big curve, I just turn the paper, not the scissors really. And sometimes I just get the main parts, and then I can come back in and get that toe. There we go. Now the bear's toe is there. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Remember to show off those lines. Make your details really specific. Exactly the cut that you want. Exactly the line that you drew. Because all we have to go for is that outline, that silhouette. Remember when we did Silhouette Nene? This is similar, only for that one, we kept the positive space, and this time we're keeping the negative space. That's getting to be too much for the moment, so I'm just going to cut out a bit. Ooh, see, I am almost there at my bear-shaped hole. Wow, just about there. And that last paw, ooh, that part there, I have to be careful because I have a narrow spot that could get torn off. So extra careful. Glad I kept that part for last. I'm going to look at this and go, is there anywhere that needs cleaning up? Like right there, looks like it's not as clean as it could be, and it doesn't quite look like fluff either. Maybe instead of having it smooth, I'll make it fluff, but I'm going to make it so that I chose where the lines are. There we go. Cutting off just a tiny bit can really help. Oops, I lost a piece. Come back there, you. I'm happy with that. Yes. Now, do you want it to look even better? Flip it over. Now, those little bits of pencil lines that you still showed are gone. Let's see what it looks like on top of your drawing paper. Oh, that is neat. I flipped it over and there we go. I've got my polar bear. He's just looking in the opposite direction now, isn't he? But you know what? I feel like this artwork needs something more. Look at all of this negative space that's just purple. I want to make it more amazing. What if I think about that artwork? It had some ice and some melted ice is how it felt. What if I change the shape of this and I make it so that some areas are ice and some areas aren't? I'm going to flip it back over because I want to draw on here. Where else, back on the drawing side, do I want to cut? I think I'm going to do a cut like that. And I'm going to do a cut like that. And I'm going to make it so that there's some rocky areas in the background. Like that. That's my plan. So, this part here, see, even though these are sort of mountains, I didn't just make just a zigzag. I made it an interesting line so that those zigzags, they aren't all the same. That really each mountain is unique, which does mean I need to focus on my cutting. But all these pencil lines are on the back side of my paper, the drawing side. So I think it'll go fine. And then I had it go up to the top, like there's a taller one there. Ooh, that's starting to be more interesting. So you get to decide what other details to add to yours. I'm adding some details of the ice and the water below, and I'm going to make an animal that lives in the water, a seal. And so that I am drawing on and then cutting out. What are you going to add to yours? Take your time and put your own ideas in. It's going to be amazing. Notice how I haven't glued anything down yet? Line it up with your paper. See if you have everything right where you want it. Decide, is there anything else that should go there? So, how do I do the gluing? I'm going to make sure that I have everything right where I want it. And then I'm going to pick up one of those pieces. And with a glue stick, you want to make sure you use a lot. You're going to want to go and fill in the whole thing. If what you have is white glue, the tiniest dots, and then move those dots around with your finger so that there are no puddles, just little bits of stickiness, as smooth as if it was a glue stick. Okay, I've got glue everywhere there. Then I'm going to go back. Okay, where did this go? How did it go? Oh yeah, right here. And if my papers are different sizes, I'm going to pick one edge to line up for. I'm going to line up the bottom and there. Flatten it down. If there's any corners that are sticking up, make sure they get a little more glue. There we go. I'll do that little piece here. If I have a little piece that I need to glue down, I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath it so that I can get the whole thing there. See how I put that underneath? And then I can go over it and get the whole thing glued. How did that go? That's right. That flat end was right there. My little ripple is in the right spot. Smooth it on. And then the final gluing for the main piece. Make sure you've got glue everywhere that it's needed, all those little corners. And line up those corners. I've got a top corner here to check and line it up. I'm going to check the edge that it's lined up. Double check before you glue anything down. And once you've double checked it's in the right spot, then you glue it down, press it down, check any corners. That corner needs more glue. Check those spots. Does that spot need a little more? I think it's okay. Wonderful. Wow, how do you feel about yours? Do you feel like that polar bear? Even though our artwork was all about the negative space, do you think that polar bear might need a face? I think so too. So, how did we draw that face? Well, you might still have your practice one from before, but either way, I'm going to show you again. Remember how we had that upside down triangle here, right? We made the lightest little line down the middle from the top of the forehead to the chin. Your polar bear probably still has a chin. And then a line that goes through the middle. If you want to draw in the edge of the head, you can, but might not be necessary. So I have that. Then, from up above the cross, I'm going to draw a U. I draw my U so it kind of comes in and then goes out again, goes in, and then out again. And then up here on the right of it, I'm going to draw the eye and the other eye. And I'm going to draw that big upside down nose. There we go. Going to fill that part in. And here's a question for you. How do you want people to feel when they see your polar bear? One way to help them feel a certain way is what facial expression you choose. Do you want a smiling bear? Do you want a bear that looks surprised? Do you want a bear that looks angry and hungry? You choose for yours. I'm going to do my bear's mouth open, but I don't think I want him just smiling. See, right now he looks like he's like, yay, I'm smiling. But I think I'm going to have him sort of mouth up and then down a little bit. He might be smiling, but he might also be hungry. Not quite sure. So I've got that there. I'm doing a little bit of fluff for the eyebrows, and I'm going to erase those guidelines that I don't need anymore. Maybe I don't want that line there anymore either, because he is just a white bear with the tiniest bit of detail. And I've got the seal down here. The seal has a nose and an eyeball looking up. Oh wait, my polar bear needs to have his focal point looking down. So I'm going to make a little darker pupil looking down. So now, is he saying hi to a friend? Or is he going, ooh, there's lunch? Hard to tell, isn't it? Wow, that little bit of pencil on there, that's all I did, and it made the piece come together. Here is your reflection question. I'm curious how you want people to feel when they look at your artwork. So, complete this sentence. When people see blank in my artwork, I want them to feel blank because. For instance, my sentence for that might be, when people see the polar bear looking at the seal under the ice, I want them to feel curious as to what's going to happen next, because both these animals look friendly, but one does eat the other for survival. So, remember, take a picture of your artwork, put it on Padlet right down below, or if your classroom uses Seesaw, put it on there. I love seeing your artwork. It brightens my day. Also, make sure that all of your extra pieces of paper, throw them out. Everything that was the inside of the polar bear, we want to not leave a mess so that you have a great place for making art again in the future. Put away your scissors, glue. Where'd my glue cap go? Here's my glue cap. Put it back on there, and I'll make more art with you next time. Ahoy ho!